Welcome to Charlie Warren's Garage, a fusion of van culture, motorhome maintenance and restoration, and mixed with a hint of philosophy and mindfulness, and seasoned with, well, any twaddle that comes into my mind when the camera's rolling. Along the way, you'll meet Bonnie the Wonder Dog, Monkey, well, the stuffed monkey, and I'll share some of my trips, and maybe you'll be inspired to visit somewhere new. So without further ado, let's start with the star of the show. This is Milly, my 1988 Talbot Express Swift Kontiki motorhome. Try saying that when your teeth are not in, which, as you can see, I'm currently restoring. Powered by a trusty 2.5 turbo diesel. If Milly was an athlete, she'd be a long-distance runner rather than a sprinter, and she definitely will get there, but I can assure you it won't be in a hurry. In fact, here's a fun fact. Milly works best at 56 miles per hour with not a reasonable sort of return on diesel, somewhere around 33 to 36, depending on how quick you're going, etc, etc. Now, each week I'll share a bit of what I fixed or what I'm working on. Milly is a long-term project, and a little bit later I'll explain how she miraculously came into my life. What I can't explain so easily, though, is why the dickens I ever thought cream would be a good colour for her rear end. In my mind, I had something retro going on, kinda late 70s, going into the 1980s, kinda California vibe. Yep, okay, it didn't pan out, and thus far I've just really can't be asked to respray her. So, one of the things I love about vans is I could go out and get, if I really wanted to, get a big loan out, get a van, 60, 70, 80, 90 grand. You can pay a lot more than that, but I could probably get a nice one on a sort of 10-year finance deal. Jump in it, you know you're going to get there, absolutely dead reliable, all mod cons, everything smells lovely. Well, that's one way of doing it, but on the other hand, I've much preferred just getting an old van and just, pulling it apart, learning about it, making it mine, putting the colours I want in it, but most importantly, not worrying every time I go down to Tesco's that someone's going to open their door, run a trolley down the side of it, and suddenly my 70 grand camper has got a scratch on it that'll probably be about £1,000 to take out. Equally, I've never really worried about an older camper getting nicked. Now, they do get nicked. I'm not saying they don't. But quite frankly, if somebody looks at Milly, they're probably not going to nick it, quite frankly, when there's other slightly more tastier things going on. So to me, part of the fun is doing the work, pulling things out, learning a bit of carpentry, watching YouTube videos, seeing how other people have gone about things, learning new skills yourself. If you come and look around this camper, it is a whole world of Gorilla Grip glue and metal brackets. It's not pretty, but it's strong, it's held together. Now, that's what I really enjoy. And while I'm doing these things, while I'm painting, relining, refurbishing, putting in new bits and bobs, I'm kind of thinking, going around in my mind is, well, where's my next trip? Where am I going to next? And that's part of the fun of it. So today we took a run out, so the dog and I, up to Grafham Water, just as a shakedown. We've done some work, we've moved a few things around, we've glued some new stuff in, we put some new bits in the roof, some insulation, and the idea of the shakedown is literally that. You shake it down, you go for a drive, you shake it. Has things been stuck in properly? Is anything rubbing and making a squeaking noise? That's the idea behind the shakedown. So yeah, that's really what it was. And Milly's is ongoing. I'll be months and months in here, and she's never going to look like some of the campers you see, like Instagram and sort of YouTube fame. The really nice ones that have had thousands of pounds spent, and they've been worked on professionally or by people with really good skills. This is never going to be that sort of van. This van's very practical. It does what I need it to do. I spent a long time taking out the old, very complicated hot and cold water system very complicated wiring system for hot water, for what other things I have in here? Sort of central heating on a thermostat. Loads of stuff that can go wrong, especially when it's a bit older. I took it all out. Basically now I cook on a one burner cooker and a backup, the little bluey camping gas blue thingy if I need to get really exotic and use 2 flames. Everything's dead basic. Everything I can fix quite quickly. I don't have to go rooting around for cables for hours on end, and I don't need a PhD to fix things here. So that's basically it. And probably should tell you a little bit about how I came to get this van in the first place.
Right, hello there, chaps and chapettes. This is Colonel Barking Mad here from the 4th Road, King's Road that is, Camperteers. Now settle down and settle in, and most importantly, settle your mess bill promptly. You're about to be debriefed. Oh, no, hang on, wait a moment. Briefed. Debriefing is a whole different thing. For another time, I think, yes. Anyway, time to listen to Charlie Warren as he now explains how he came into possession of Milly. Yes, I think that's it now. Cheery, bye!
So, how did I come to get Milly in my life? Well, back along, I had vans, sort of normal, sort of transit-sized vans, LDV pilots, VWs, Type 25s, bay windows, all that sort of thing. Normal, regular-sized van campers. And we're spending a fair bit of time with the dog on one thing now. I thought, you know, it's time to perhaps look at a coach-built motorhome, something a bit bigger. Something with a little bit more space, separate living areas and sleeping areas, that sort of thing. Now, obviously, I could have spent an awful lot of money getting something, but on a bit of a budget, and I thought to myself, I'll keep an eye out. And I came across a Swift Kontiki based on a Talbot Express chassis. And this thing was up for £3,000. Now, bearing in mind, even the old ones tend to go for anything between sort of at least £6,000-7,000, right up to £12,000. So I wasn't expecting a great deal, and I shot down to have a look at this thing. And the guy wanted 3.5k for it, which was not a lot of money. And I thought, you know, jeepers, what's this going to be like? I'm not going to lie, it was rough. It'd been parked up in someone's garden for 3 years with somebody living in it. The guy had started it regularly, moved it once or twice a month, you know, just a few feet to and fro, just keep everything right. I had a look at it, it was proper rough. He'd started ripping out the inside, hoping one day to do it right up, and all the rest of it never happened, like a lot of these projects. He got himself a caravan, and this thing was now languishing. So I'd look at it, and he could see my face. He could see I wasn't, I was less than impressed. And he looked at me and said, well, look, you know, £3,500, you know, how about £2,500? And I heard it run. The engine sounded as sweet as a nut, 50-something thousand miles on the clock, and it all looked genuine, I have to say. And although it was rough, I thought, well, you know, let's go for it. £2,500, exchange hands. I did have a little bit of a test drive, just where it was in the garden, a few foot forward and a few foot back. Couldn't get into reverse for love and the money, but that's another story. So I started driving back the, I think 120 miles back home. Now, as I was driving for the first couple of miles, it was making all sorts of like creaky noises. And I thought, oh, you know, never had a motorhome, sort of coach-built camper before. Perhaps they all make this noise. About 50 miles down the road, I begin to see light in my rear view mirror. I can see light appearing down the roof seam, like the roof was coming off. Well, you know, hey-ho, we soldiered on, got up onto the motorway, and within 5 miles going on the motorway, suddenly there was a rushing of wind, and a noise I can't even describe, a mighty sort of stuff falling apart, and the entire back section, the fiberglass carrier which caps off the back of the camper van, we're talking 7 foot wide and 4 foot deep of heavy fiberglass, had completely come off and had flown onto the motorway. Luckily that day, thank God, it was quiet on the motorway. The lorry behind me sort of pulled himself up to a halt. The driver was not impressed, I have to say, but he helped me shift this huge lump of fiberglass off the motorway. I jumped back into Milly, and I sheepishly went on, because I couldn't get this bit of kit back on. I thought I'd come and get it another day when it's dark. Anyway, another 50 miles into the journey, and the cracks appearing in the roof were now getting quite big. I could see sunlight coming through the back of the camper, and I'm thinking, we're not going to get home. This camper is literally going to fall to pieces. Now, luckily, I do not go anywhere without carrying duct tape, or if you've been in the military, Harry Black. Very strong material-backed adhesive tape, and I set about basically putting strips of Harry Black on the back of the roof in crisscrosses to try and bolster up the two corners. Long story short, we got home. Oh, did I mention the alternator belt failed too? 25 miles from home, alternator belt snapped. Luckily, being a diesel, you're not relying solely on electrical charge. We soldiered home, and I finally got this bit of kit back. I'd lost about 2 stone in sweat. It was some journey, but I got back. And looking back now, would I have bought it again? I don't know. But the engine, sweet as a nut. We sorted out the gear change problems, notorious on Talbot Expresses. Quick trip to JK Towers, who sorts these things out. Everything was good. And since then, I've totally put new joists in the roof, just basically redid the roof, reconnected to the bodywork, and we haven't looked back. But that's how Milly came into my life, this poor old derelict girl stuck in a garden, and I took pity on her, and I saw she had potential. Anyway, guys, that's it for now. Catch you next time. Remember, never forget, every day is a new day of opportunities. Try and do your best to treat whoever you meet kindly, and the world becomes a better place. And I will catch you next time. This is Charlie Warren's Garage, signing off. Bye.